everyone delivers something different to the table. Everyone has his own strengths and weaknesses. And this thing that I learned helped me when I built my management team, that I can see my weaknesses. And then when we hire someone on board, that he can complement what I miss. So together I feel we are stronger. And whenever we brought someone on board, I always felt stronger because no one is perfect, and I know my strengths, and the best thing I have is passion.
Welcome to this week's Escape Your Limits podcast. Our guest today co-founded a single fitness club, which went on to become the 15th largest global fitness chain with more than 150 clubs that went public on the Saudi Stock Exchange in 2018. Soon after, he and his family sold the business and they went on to create a new organization of fitness brands built on a foundation of technology, along with an experience that would be unique and groundbreaking on the world stage. Our guest this week shares the challenges of mixing family with business, how he identified 100 of the best facilities in the world and visited every single one to help him understand what to do and what not to do when designing a new fitness brand. And finally, his personal insights into their unique approach to gym design and branding. So please welcome this week's guest, the co-founder and CEO of Armah Sports, Fahad Alhagbani.
Fahad, thank you so much for joining us all the way across the other side of the world in Saudi. So how are things over there at the moment?
Thank you, Matthew, for inviting me. Things are stable since end of last year, and we hope that things will stay the way it is.
That's right. So for those people that have not been to Saudi, I'm one of the. I put myself into that bracket. Give us a bit of a picture about what the economy. What's it like from a business perspective? Obviously it's from what I understand, it's a rapidly dynamic and expanding region. But maybe give us a little bit of a flavor for those who have not been there. What's it like in Saudi?
Well, we need one episode for Saudi, but just to give you a quick overview, Saudi is the largest country in the Middle East with 34 million people living in it. 24 million of them are originally Saudi. In the last 5 years, we've been witnessing a transformation in the country, which led by our young Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. And as the new generation of Saudi, we can feel today that Saudi is opening up to the world. The economy is booming. And actually, I read earlier today that one of the fastest and biggest economies in the world in 2022 is Saudi. And this is due to all the corrections and the corrective measures, actually, that the government is doing, the mega projects, the foresight, the future. So things are promising. We're growing. 65% of Saudi population is less than 35 years old. So we consider ourselves a young country full of passion and ambition.
So what about as it relates specifically to health and wellness now? So are there any, like you've been around the world, you're very in touch with what happens in many parts from what I understand, but how would you, I guess, explain health and wellness trends and behaviors specifically in Saudi and maybe in contrast to what you've seen in the US and Europe?
I mean, of course, US and Europe, they're leading the fitness industry, and the awareness across the countries over Europe and across the US is totally different than any other part of the world. Having said that, I can see that in Saudi and in different markets in the region, the fitness awareness is growing. I think this is basically because of the new generations. We're talking about millennials and Gen Z and Gen X, who's driving the change, but also because of social media and globalization. Now you can access the whole world through an application, and you can see, you can be exposed. I think 10, 15 years ago, you needed to travel to be exposed to different cultures and different stuff that you need to see. But today, it's one click away. So in Saudi, we started the fitness business with the family 20 plus years ago. And of course, we can observe the change since then, especially in the last, let's say, 7 years, since 2015. There was a booming in the market and more awareness around health and fitness. You can see a lot of young Saudi guys following a diet program, which goes against the food lifestyle or diet lifestyle that you used to do before. So those things together, I think, played a big role in changing the country to a healthier lifestyle. We played a big role from our side, the private sector, of course, opening more than 180 clubs in the last 20 years, which helped in the changing process. But also the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Sports, they're doing a lot of initiatives, a lot of great programs, awareness programs, communication campaigns to raise the awareness around wellness in general.
Right. So you was the co-founder, one of the co-founders of Fitness Time, a very successful chain. From what I understand, it was, I don't know whether it's still now, but at one point it was one of the 15th largest chains in the world. So a very, very impressive business. And you started that from one single location. So when you and your family got into that, what was the value proposition then? And why do you think that particular model succeeded at that moment in time in the region that you were based in?
If you allow me, my older brother, he started the first fitness club, which was called Body Masters in 1994. Shortly after I joined, I was in high school. I joined as a receptionist, but I built my way up, and I helped him a bit grow that business, Body Masters, to 13 clubs until 2004, 2005. Then we split the company and we sold our shares to our cousins. After that, we spent, me and my older brother, maybe 1.5 years, just looking out in the market, visiting exhibitions around the world, talking to experts, designing the new model. And we came up with the name and the business model of Fitness Time. So we opened a fully branded club back in 2007. The first plan was only 4 locations. The capital was not that big, and we had only the brothers and sisters into the formation of the shareholder structure. But then we noticed that after we opened the first Fitness Time club, that the young generation received the business model in a different way. They accepted the trends that we implemented back then. They liked the interior design that we came back then, and they thought that this is a franchise. This is not a Saudi-based product. And we had so many feedback back then about the model of Fitness Time, whether it's a franchise or Saudi-made. But we always try to communicate the message that this is a product built and also operated by 100% Saudi young people. So we grew the network to 4 clubs, and then we saw the success back then. I think the awareness level started to grow in the market. A lot of Saudi youngsters started to come from abroad where they finished their studies. We started to open in different cities. This helped a lot in raising the awareness. So we started from 1 city into 3, 4, 5, until we reached 150 clubs and 23 cities in 2018. Of course, there is a lot happened in that period, but when we started Fitness Time, it was only me and my brother. And then when we exited the company, but at end of 2018, there was 3,500 employees in the company.
Wow, that's very impressive. That really is.
Introducing the next big thing in functional training, the Escape Barrow. a revolutionary training tool that combines a loaded farmer's carry with a sled push to develop hip, grip, and core strength. Developed in partnership with Pete Holman, inventor of the TRX Rip Trainer and Nautilus Glute Drive, the Escape Barrow can be rolled, pushed, dragged, and carried. The Escape Barrow packs a punch with an impressive load capacity of 440 pounds, and with a two-stage galvanized paint covering process, it's also ideal for outdoor use. So head over to escapefitness.com/barrow. That's escapefitness.com/barrow to find out more. Enjoy the rest of this episode.
With that journey, were there any key steps in the evolution? Like it was quite a reasonable period of time, and as you say, a lot had happened. But looking back on it, would you say there was some fundamental transitions where you evolved as a brand from, obviously you had 1 to 4 clubs and you were a very small brand, and then there's obviously some key steps in the way where you had to kind of rethink and come in with new management structures and processes and propositions. So if you had to sort of look back on that, what would you say were some of those steps that you really felt were turning points in your own personal journey as it relates to Fitness Time?
The first fundamental is the pre-kickoff planning, which took us 1 year and a half to do. And usually people, I know entrepreneurs, they're very excited to kick off their idea and to start the project. But with us taking a moment between the transition between the two businesses, the previous business and Fitness Time, was very good for us to sit down and think strategically what we want to do, how we want to do it, what the market needs. As I told you, visit different countries and different concepts and talking to different experts really help build the foundation of what we really need to do. So this infrastructure, usually a lot of people, they don't do it because it's a loss of time and money while you don't have revenue in return. But we did it. And it was successful because it helped us when we kicked off the business, that the business model the value proposition was in the right place, almost. Of course, we did tweaks along the way, but the kickoff was kind of in the right speed and the right time. And we were lucky, I guess, as well. We worked hard. So the thing that kept going, it's not only a milestone that we worked hard. We worked 14, 16 hours every day. We were thinking about fitness every single moment of the day. When we wake up, when we go to sleep, we were fired up. The passion was driving. And although we didn't have competitors back then in the Saudi market, but we felt that time is our competitor and we wanted to dominate the market. Whenever we opened, we were selling memberships and changing people's lives. So it was a good feeling. The second milestone I remember after we kicked off is we said, okay, we open now Fitness Time brand. Is there different categories in the market where we need to have the accessibility to? So we studied the different categories in the market, and we came up with the Fitness Time Pro, which is the budget level. We came up with Fitness Time Plus, which is the high-end level. And also we did Fitness Time Junior for kids between 6 years old and 17. And their facilities would include swimming pools, outdoor activities like soccer, football, basketball, and other stuff, and martial arts as well. So we expanded the offering to include the whole family, let's say, but in a very private and separate facilities. Then in 2013, one of the major milestones, a big private equity reached out to us under the name Invescorp. They're very famous in the Middle East. Also, they have an office in New York. They do a lot of transactions around the world. So we sold them a minority of the business, 25%. It was a good deal back then. And we really wanted three things from that deal. First, of course, the cash and return from the transaction. But second, to improve us as a business, because I know that we are a family business, but we work with, let's say, local practices. And these guys, they come with international experience. And third, if we can also utilize their network and connections to improve our supply chain and to improve our processes. So it was a very successful relationship with them. They got 2 seats on the board, and they were very influential, especially on me personally and in the business in a broader vision. And after a year of them joining us, I asked them to help us change the company from a family business company to an international corporate. Because back then there was an idea to go IPO, to go to the public market. That was the ultimate goal in the horizon. But we can't go with a weak infrastructure in terms of policies and practices and procedures. So they agreed, and we brought on an international firm back then in 2014, a consultation firm, and they stayed with us for 1.5 years. We developed a very clear scope on how can we move this family business that works under pure centralization into an international corporate that works under policies, procedures, and authorization matrix, and a very clear org chart. Of course, the project includes a lot of things, but I'm talking only about the main points. So in 1.5 years, we managed to do this. I didn't want to do a consultation project with a paperwork that you can keep in the drawer. No, I wanted to implement that project as we go. We implemented it, and we restructured the whole management team. And I think after 1.5 years, let's say early 2016, we felt very confident about the management team. I felt very confident about the team that surrounds me, because growing a network from 0 to 10, it's fairly easy to be around, the brothers. But then when you want to grow beyond that, I think you need smart people around you to help you build the business. So I don't give the credit to me or my brother or the other brothers in the business, but I always give the credit to the team that really helped the growth. In 2015, we signed a deal with FC Barcelona for 2 reasons, 2 parts of the deal. One of it was commercial rights. We wanted to leverage on the brand of FC Barcelona to increase the value of the Fitness Time brand. So we did the co-branding, and in this commercial rights, we had the chance to use the player images and to do activations with FC Barcelona, different campaigns. And we had this for 3 years. Alongside this project, we also did the FCB Escola, which is the academy. So we took the FCB Barcelona Academy into Saudi. It was one of our social responsibility projects. We ran thousands of kids through the projects, because the main reason behind this academy was not to make money. It was to teach the Saudi kids some core values that comes around football, like sportsmanship, respect, and also the other values that we could teach the kids. And we really received positive feedback from the families around how the kids' behavior changed after they joined the FCB Escola, because we brought the trainers directly from Spain, directly from Barcelona, and they're educated within the Barcelona education program. The last milestone, or the major milestone I would like to say, was the IPO in 2018. It was a huge project that took 1.5 years preparation from us, the management team. And sometimes it was a distraction, but we knew the value it could bring on shareholders and also on the continuity and stability of the business and the growth in the future. So we gave it time and effort. And in September 2019, we floated the company. We went IPO with a valuation approximately 700 million euros.
Right. Well, yeah, very impressive.
I tried to focus only on the major milestones. I had different milestones, but really those are the things that really can come up to my mind very easily.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot that's happened, and I'd like to go back into a couple of those if you're okay, just because there's a few interesting bits there that you mentioned. The first one I want to start with is the family business. You started with the family business, transitioned, which is not an easy thing to do. I've been in a family business for 25 plus years, so I kind of can understand a little bit about what you were talking about. So what's your, what would you say in terms of family businesses and people that may be in them or thinking about doing them or thinking about transitioning? What from your perspective are the pros and the cons of a family business? And what are, I suppose, one or two of the key lessons that you've learned about how to go from brother, sister, one location to, I guess, the direction that you ended up taking it, which is a major IPO. Is there anything that you can share there that from personal experience at all?
Okay, I can share a lot, and I understand that you come from the same environment, a family business. I lived all my life in family business, and some of my friends who work in corporate, they envy me, and because they said, okay, family business is much easier than corporates. I don't think there's any easy job in life, whether it's family or corporate. Every job comes with its challenges. The key is to overcome those challenges. And if you have the passion to do something, you will do it, whether you're a corporate employee or you're a family business shareholder or a family business employee even. But I come from a big family. We are 10 brothers and sisters. Majorly speaking, we are 3 brothers controlling the fitness business. The key thing actually was the trust that the rest of the brothers and sisters, they have put in us. So my older brother, he's the chairman in the previous company. He's a chairman in the new venture. But we all listen to him. The fact of the centralization I talked about before, it was, let's say, the norm that happens with the family business. But then with Investcorp as a private equity and with our knowledge and understanding and exposure and the flexibility to change, we changed this to decentralization. So my first tip to any family business would be, I think documentation is very important. And identifying roles and responsibilities is also important. Interference can cause issues, a lot of issues. And the issues with the family is non-stop issues because there is a lot of politics and sensitive points. It will keep growing if you don't deal with it immediately. So I think first, as I said, you give the trust to the right people and you let them do what they know best. Second is documentation and identify roles and responsibilities. And third is also to develop a succession plan. Because during the last 3 years of Fitness Time, I became CEO of Fitness Time. I knew that from the beginning, my eldest brother was focusing on me and developing me to a point where he wants to split the chairman position and the CEO position. Where he will have non-executive role and I will have the executive role. So I accepted that role back then in 2016. And because he focused on the succession plan, I wouldn't say it was easy on me to take it over immediately and go with it, but it was a learning curve for me. And today in the new venture, since 2019 with the new company, I lead the family business. And my brother, who's now retired, but he's the non-executive chairman. He doesn't involve my brothers and sisters. The 9 of them, they're not involved in the business whatsoever. So I can feel now that the trust and the experience that we came back from before helped us now to have more stable environment where we can innovate, we can excel, we can focus on what we do rather than focusing on different interferences or family issues.
I've read a few of your interviews and listened to some podcasts that you've done, and you come over as as a very humble person, but also someone that pays a lot of credit and acknowledges different people for influencing certain decisions that you've made. Couple of questions. One, is that a fairly accurate, fairly accurate observation? And two, if it is, have you found that being open and accepting that you don't have all the answers has been sort of help you in to be successful?
If I tell you today, I'll answer the second part first. If I tell you today I know all the answers and I can do everything myself, I'll be lying. Give me one successful story that happened around the world with one person. And my older brother always tells me, one hand doesn't clap. You need the other hand to clap. So you need someone to help you to grow. I think from the starting point, I understood that from between me and my brothers, everyone delivers something different to the table. Everyone has his own strengths and weaknesses. And this thing that I learned helped me when I built my management team, that I can see my weaknesses. And then when we hire someone on board, that he can complement what I miss. So together I feel we are stronger. And whenever we brought someone on board, I always felt stronger because no one is perfect. And I know my strengths, and the best thing I have is passion. But when it comes to some technical stuff in financial or in marketing or in HR, you can't do everything alone. You have to bring the best of the best in the market to help you. And I remember Steve Jobs once said, he said, we don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. We hire the smart people so they can tell us what to do. And actually, I believe that the people are a very important part in our role, especially in our industry. Of course, the other industries as well, but you cannot run this business without people. I forget the first part.
Well, it was. I guess it was. Was that a fairly accurate observation? It certainly, you referenced it quite a bit, so it was just to see whether I was right.
I always tell my older brother that because we lost our father when I was 9, and all of us, the 10 of us, we were young, and I was 9 years old, and I grew up under my brother's shadow. I learned from him, and I learned from the best. And I always tell him that you are my father, you are my brother, and you are my mentor, and you are my teacher. Because I learned the best qualities, and I learned the fitness industry from him. He made me passionate about it. And to a point where after 20 years, he had the trust to say, okay, this is the proceedings we got from the previous IPO. Tell us what to do with it. I gave the business plan for the new venture of the smart clubs, and today I'm leading the family venture for the last 3.5 years, and this could not happen if I don't have had his trust and the other brothers and sisters' trust, and without also learned under his supervision.
What was it like when you brought on 2 people onto the board? Then when you went from having, I presume, family board and shareholder meetings predominantly, to having some other people on, was that a fairly easy integration of other people, other ideas, or was that something again that you had to work on?
We had to change the board structure twice when we did the transaction with Invescorp to give them 2 seats. And then another major actually change in the structure was pre-IPO under the capital market authority regulations. You need to hire non-executive directors so they can give you different point of view. And we had to add 3 more seats of non-executive directors, and to develop different committees, audit committee, and the committee responsible of HR-related stuff, remuneration committee, sorry. So the first change in the structure of the board with the Invescorp, we were worried, but then you select your partners, and we selected Invescorp because we felt chemistry between us and them. It wasn't only a pure business transaction. It was also an agreement that we should work together towards one goal. And we know what's missing. Can you guys help us reach there? So we felt that we have some kind of chemistry. And then when they went on board, it wasn't easy. We had arguments, but it was always positive arguments. And this is the important thing. I argue with my brothers all the time. But once we leave the company, we come back as brothers. Because we know that the arguments within the boundaries of the business, it's only because we want the best for the business. So we don't take things personally. Sometimes we do, but generally speaking, we don't take things personally. This is the professional way to do it. And we had, I think, again, we were lucky having a healthy relationship with InvestCorp, having a healthy relationship with the two guys, and beyond two guys, also there was a full team supporting us from InvestCorp. It was a very successful relationship. Now, what happened when we went through the pre-IPO process and the board got bigger and we had non-executive directors, then the fracture happened, and we felt that we had different directions. We want something for the future of the company. The board wants something different for the future of the company. And then we said, okay, we did what we could do for Fitness Time for 13, 14 years. We got a valuation of 700 million euros, and the company is stable. We built a great infrastructure. There is 3,500 employees in the company. The company is working like, a system. So maybe it's time for us to take a break, move out, and do something else. And honestly speaking, when we left, we didn't think what's the next step. It took us maybe a few months until we said, okay, I came back to my brothers and said, okay, I have something.
And I want to come back on that next step, but just to finish off on I think it was when you said 2018, where you had these sort of slight board changes in direction. I think that's something a lot of organizations have to deal with. And I guess having gone through that from creating the situation and then being part of its unfolding, what would you say as some of your lessons from that process? So say, for example, with your new organization, you kind of get to a similar stage again. Are there any things that you would probably do differently if you had to do it again? And if so, what would those things be, or what would be a key lesson from sort of realizing that split?
Okay, I think the biggest lesson is you have to be prepared in the pre-IPO phase that you will give up some control on your company. So I know there is a lot of valuable feedback and valuable returns, to be precise, valuable returns in the process of the IPO, both in from financial perspective and also from social perspective and other perspective as well. Implications on the company, more stable, so far and so forth. But control is something that you have to give up. And a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, they don't like to give up control. For us, we are from this kind that we don't like to give up control. At the same time, it's very hard to find someone that sits with you on the board that understands your passion about fitness. We don't claim to be the best who knows about fitness, because we continue to learn. And about our industry, it's a very dynamic industry. We keep learning and trends comes up every day. But we have some sort of knowledge that can build a cement for the future. But sometimes you have other people on the board that can conflict with that. You have to be very flexible when you are at the board level, because you have to listen more than talk. You have to accept the other person also opinion, which we did. But then, generally speaking, the direction is something that we were in conflict. When it gets to something that you really want or you see, and the vision is not there, then you say, okay, I want to split. But then if you accept to give up control, if you accept the other people conflict, if you are willing to listen more and do more, then I think it works, and it works for many other companies. I think especially big corporates. But for us as a family business, and especially in the fitness domain, I think we're more flexible also to say, okay, we can do something different. We don't have to stick to what we're doing, especially that we did what we could do in 14 years. And sometimes you give a lot. You feel that you are burned in this area and you need to really jump and do something else. So you revive your passion, you revive your innovations.
If you had to describe what the root cause of those changes are.
Values.
So you have a vision, which clearly you guys had a very clear vision about where you were going and why you were going there. And then you had a very strong value structure, which clearly kept all of the 3,000 plus employees together. If you had to sort of identify one of those, if that was relevant, which one of those would you say probably was their differences that became difficult to overcome?
I think every board has a different story, right? Different dynamics, and I completely understand your question. And I think for us, the story was on both sides, both the vision of the future and also the values that we hold in our company, because we focus a lot on building a culture and a work environment under the family values. By the way, it's very difficult to control those values and the culture that you build when you grow, and then you have a board, and then you give up some of the control. So, and because our previous company, Fitness Time, is a public company, I can't speak about a lot of details, but I can tell you that it was on different streams, including the values, including the vision of the company, including how we see the company in 5 years, and how we see the operation working in the company. But as I told you, when the friction happens, I think everybody has a different story. Everybody has his own side of the story. Mm-hmm. But we always evaluate our decision. When we left in 2018, was it wrong? Was it right? And since we left, we couldn't feel more free, liberal to do whatever we want. We felt free again, and we like to build things from scratch. I think this is our nature. We build our clubs from the scratch. We take the land, we build the clubs. We don't like to rent ready spaces. So I think we are built like this. We like to start always fresh stuff and build new ventures. But I think the new venture that we're building, it's going to be the last one. We're investing all our passion, all our knowledge that we accumulated in the last 20 years in this new venture.
With there must have been it's a big step, particularly when you created something that was as impressive as what you did. When you went over to create the new venture, I wanted to sort of touch a little bit upon that, because we've certainly opened a number of different business ideas, and as you go through life, you come to many different stages where it's like, okay, what's next, and how do I go about deciding what should be next? You gain a lot of experience in many different areas. So my guess, when you were at that position, there was probably so many different doors open to you. You could have gone into any business potentially. So tell me about, or tell us and the listeners about how you went through the process of saying, okay, we're now going to look for something else. Where did you start? Where did you go for inspiration? And was there a kind of a methodology that you went through to get to the stage where you was like, yep, this is it, we're very clear about what we're going to do? Or was it an entrepreneurial thing where it was kind of more of a gut feel? And my guess is that wasn't the case with you, but just curious for anyone that's in that position now.
we use our gut feeling so much. And the previous businesses, whether it's Fitness Time or Body Masters, we never did a market study or a business plan. A business model. We had a business plan, but a business model, we always follow our guts, and we understand the market, and we go with our passion. I know it's very dangerous, and I don't recommend that you use this at home. But it's an entrepreneurial thing that's driven by passion. With the new business, when we left at the end of 2018, we took a couple of months off, and I am part of the Rex Group Roundtable for Executives. This is an international group. I know some groups are in the States, but we are an international group of 15 people, and I am from the Middle East as part of this group. And we meet 3 times a year to share knowledge and discuss what's new about the fitness industry. And we share our pains and our dreams under the leadership of our boss, Fausto. And he always keeps us focused on what we want to do, inspire us, and we also inspire each other. So one of the meetings, it was held in Helsinki, at one of our peers' country. And the title of that meeting was the Club of the Future. So in that meeting, I sat there with the group, and we were discussing ideas about the future, how the clubs would look like in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20. And I really came back from this trip inspired. So I asked, I put some stuff together in a couple of days in the presentation, not very organized, but it was good enough to get the brothers together, my cousin and my nephew. I remember I invited them to my home. I showed the presentation, and I said we should do smart clubs. And this is what we want to do. This is the mistakes we did in the past. This is how we overcome the mistakes, not only in fitness, not only in products, not only in business model, but also in the backbone services and shared services, whether it's HR, technology, or finance. And the major part was really the technology, because I know around the world, fitness entrepreneurs doesn't really focus on technology. They focus on what they understand best, which is fitness. But technology was growing and have been growing in the last 10 years rapidly, and fitness is hardly catching up. So I included the technology aspect in this presentation. Whatever I get inspired from my Rex group in the last 5 years or 6 years, I put it in the presentation as well. And then in the last slide, I remember I had a long list of other businesses that we could do, including amusement parks, including entertainment projects, including 4-star hotels, because there is a gap in the market. And my brothers, 2 of my brothers were like, listen, forget about this page, the other businesses, let's go back to what we know best. We like the presentation as a start point. Yeah, we like the presentation. We like the business model that we're going with. Let's dig deep on it and develop it more and take it from there. So that was the starting point.
Was it tempting to you mentioned the 4-star hotels? Was it tempting to say, well, look, we've done a lot, we've achieved a lot in fitness. This could be an exciting opportunity. You clearly identified a gap in the market. How was that? Was that because it was an important decision, I guess, that you could now be in the hotel business very, very easily? Was that because of, do you think, the sort of support group and dynamic that you've got going on with your brothers, where you could kind of all, just put it together and say, yeah, that's a great idea? Because I guess if you had a different dynamic, you may have gone out, seen some hotels, got super passionate about it, which you clearly are, and it could have been a very different decision. So tell me about that, because I think that's something that's very important for all of us to kind of, be able to stay in alignment with making good decisions at critical times.
Making good decisions usually with us comes from the guts feeling. But at this time, at that moment, I remember that we always had a dream about doing a business in the hotels industry because, hotels falls under hospitality and fitness falls under hospitality. One of my brothers, he's a superstar in restaurants and he's a shareholder with us. So we all have this passion about hospitality. We understand customer service. So back then we honestly had the passion to do the 4-star hotels, but this is something at the end of the day, even if you get excited, even if you develop a strong model, it's not your passion. It's not what you know best. And I always tell my team that you need to focus. You need to do what you know best. Don't get distracted. And I think one of the reasons that we were successful in the last 20 years that we are very focused in the fitness industry. If you tell me today why you didn't do spa services, we have some minor spa services in the clubs before and in the future, but we will never go into fully fledged spa center because we don't understand spa. We remain focused and loyal to what we know best. We remain focused. And I also give credit to Invescore because I remember once at Fitness Time, we had so many projects and so many initiatives in our hands, and back then we had the opportunity to bring in Real Madrid official stores to Saudi, and we had the communication with Adidas. Back then it was ready, they were ready to sign with us, and then this guy from Invescore, the senior guy called Walid, which I respect so much, he came to my office, he opened the whiteboard and he started writing what I have on my plate. It was about 20 different initiatives that I'm working on. And he added Real Madrid official stores as a 21. And he said, do you have time to focus on those 20? Do you really need another burden? And I was like, listen, I understand. I will not listen anymore to any other, let's say, tempting offers. I'll focus on what I do best. Because Real Madrid official stores are retail business, which is something we don't know. Maybe we can hire the people, we can build the team around it, but at the end of the day, it's not your core business. So we said no, we turned down the opportunity, and today I'm using the same thing. Hotels are tempting, and there is a gap in the market until today. We have, I wouldn't say the passion, but we are leaning into doing this kind of thing. But I rather focus on the family business, on the fitness. I rather focus on what I know best. And even our clubs, if there is a service, an added value service I need to deliver to my customers, which I don't know how to do, I always subcontract someone to do it. And then I try not to charge them so much, because with added value services, I'm not looking for money. I'm looking to deliver something to the members in the same quality and standards of my core business. But the money is not the first thing I look at. I look at the whole experience that the members will get. So again, I think we did the best decision, and we are happy of what we did so far. We are very excited of the future, and I wouldn't ask for more, and I wouldn't go back in time and change and get into different lines of business. I will stick to what I know best, with what I love, what I have passion for.
I think it's a great lesson, and it's one probably I'm certainly going to listen to over and over again. And I'm sure many people that are entrepreneurs, I guess that's one of the Achilles heel. You know, we've all got the passion, we have these great ideas and opportunities, but sometimes if it's not kept in check, and it sounds as though you've had some good mentors that have helped you to do that, you can actually do a lot more damage than by sort of losing that focus. So I think that's a wonderful lesson. There's another lesson that I was quite interesting to hear the rest of the story. There was an article that you did in Health Club Management about the One Rebel partnership, and apparently Giles kind of talked you into getting involved as a partnership. And there was a statement that you wrote where it said, not letting your past experience prevent you from new opportunities. So tell me a bit about that story, because it kind of got me very curious.
Okay. When we started the new venture, the family business was focused on buying lands as real estate assets and building the clubs. And I wanted to do something different on the side, and I took the permission from my brother and the shareholders that I want to do something on the side. with one of my friends and also a colleague. His name is Nathan. And we said, let's do a boutique studio. So back then in end of 2018, we started to study the market and to develop our own concept. I don't want to dig into details. Fast forward, we get a call from One Rebel asking us to have the possibility to discuss about a potential partnership. My immediate response was no and yes. No, and this is the answer to the question, because we had some shareholders in the first business, Body Masters, with my cousins. We had a shareholding structure at Fitness Time also, not only the private equity. And we had some, let's say, bad experience on those history shareholders. So in the new venture, we said we will build this company, only the brothers and sisters, including my uncle. And then we will not take partnerships with anyone else. We will not accept. And although you said something 5 minutes ago, you said you had so many opportunities, and we had opportunities in the transition phase where people offered hundreds of millions to start new ventures. We turned them down. They had offers of being part of different businesses. We turned them down. Because we said, because of the bad experience we had in the past, we said we will do our company and we will take our decisions ourselves. And we just want to work in peace. And this is really not because it's not an ego thing that you want to do your own thing. I just want to work in peace. I want to do what I know best. I want to work in peace. I want to innovate. And when the noise starts in a certain company, the innovation goes dead until you deal with the issues. So for the last 3.5 years, I'm working without noise, without interruptions, and that's, I think, creating a lot of very friendly environment in the back office, and a very quiet environment. People are focused and really on innovation.
When you are in that peace state, after being not in it, would you say that from your own personal performance, you're in a different level in terms of the value that you're creating and the innovation and the progress you're making? Have you found that that's made a personal difference to your own performance?
Okay, first I will answer this, but first, we started to do the boutique club. I took a couple of locations. This is separate from the family business with Nathan. And after that, James and Giles wanted the meeting. So we met in Saudi, and then we went together in Dubai. And Dubai, we had this meeting where James told me, why you don't want to do any partnerships in this space? And I was like, I had some bad experiences in the past. I don't want to lose anybody over business. We don't want partnerships. I want peace of mind. And honestly, I don't want to do board meetings again. And he was like, listen, don't let the past experiences ruining the potential that you have in the future. And if you want to do the business, we will do it in the easiest way we could. This is the board, only us. And we will not do board meetings under closed doors. We will only do it in outdoor areas and in different countries. We will come up with our own structure. And they really made it easy to us. So we killed our brand. We replaced the brand with One Rebel. And now we have 2 clubs of One Rebel working in Saudi since 1.5 years. We have a great relationship with One Rebel because it's based on respect, on friendship, on fun, the same fundamentals I wanted to build the business on. And they shared it. And because maybe we are in the same age group, we share the same values, this partnership is working very well. So the lesson is really, don't get excited. Don't go and do partnerships everywhere. You have to, before you study the business plan and the money, study the people and understand what you're getting yourself in. Because no matter how much money you put in, less or more, if the chemistry is not there, if the understanding is not there, if the values doesn't match, this business is not going anywhere. Now, the peace of mind, for the last 3.5 years, we're only thinking about innovations. We're only thinking about the business itself. There's no distractions. We are having distractions until yesterday. Different opportunities comes to us, but we always say we have a plan, we have a business model, we have a certain number of projects we want to do. We have a certain budget. We're not investing outside of this budget, and we will remain faithful to the promise to the brothers and sisters. And we did everything that we planned 3 years ago. We had some few tweaks during the pandemic, but only minor tweaks. But today we are in a very stable position. This peace of mind is helping us to work from the heart and to be focused and not distracted. And I can tell you that after 3.5 years, today we are planning an IPO again, and we signed with the bank 3 months ago. And in 3 months from now, by Q4 2022, we will submit our papers for filing.
Very good. Congratulations. So you've got in your new group then, you've got is it 3 brands or 4 brands?
We have 2 brands currently, the premium offering, which is BFit, and the high-end offering, which is Optimo. We have a budget offering in the pipeline, but we're keeping it maybe post-IPO, because we really want to focus now to roll out BFit and to roll out Optimo, perfect the operations. We have 12 locations today. And then we will think about the budget offering. But for the budget offering, the work is kicking off in the, it's a backside process. It's not like a priority process today.
One of the things when I was looking into your clubs, the design and the architecture is just incredible. My brother was out there a few months ago raving about it. I saw the pictures, and even if you go online and see it, it's just they are really out of this world. And I recommend anyone that's listening to this to go and check them out. But where do you go and get your inspiration from because it's clearly there's definitely a unique perspective, and if I travel, and I'm sure you do, see hundreds of gyms around the world, and you clearly set yourselves apart in terms of that experience. So where do you get the inspiration? Is it just a good choice in architects, or is there anything else behind it that's allowed you guys to push the boundaries in terms of what's visually possible?
It's a very good question, by the way, and the way how we described it. It's like you're saying the question and saying the answer at the same time. But you have a lot of experience, so no doubt. But again, to emphasize on the point, yes, it's 2 things. We got inspired, and we had good architects. With Fitness Time, in the past, we learned the hard way. We designed our clubs in Saudi, and we learned, as we developed different brands, we learned more about branding, about how to build the corporate identity, how to build the interior design, and how to make the interior linked to the identity as well. So they can be all, a part of one let's say, one feeling. So when we moved out to the new venture, we wanted an international touch into the design. So we went out to an agency out of London, and we discussed with them the project and our vision and how do we want the smart clubs to look like. So selecting the architect is one thing, and giving them the right brief is an important thing as well. Because if you go to an architect and say, okay, go up and give me the best club in the world, maybe he can't give you the best club in the world. But if you give him your brief, then he will design the club the way you vision it and you want it to be. So the architects, they were very good. They work internationally. They work in London as well. Their portfolio is very strong. So we gave them the trust, and they wanted to work with us. So it was, again, selecting a partner who understands us very well, who understands our value. And we had chemistry, very strong chemistry together. So we became friends, and we worked at this project in a very friendly way, and we had fun together. We never had any argument. I remember in 1 year developing both brands, Optimo and BFit. And I really wanted to go to an international agency because I wanted a different touch with coloring as well. Because every culture has different type of colors and touches and influence, and I wanted the influence to come from a Western agency, and I think we get successful from this kind of partnership with this agency, and we continue to have a great relationship with them. We will continue to involve them in different projects. The second part is the inspiration. What we did, me, Nathan, my nephew, and my cousin, what we did prior to opening the first club, and in line with designing the clubs with the agency, is going around the world and visiting 150 different concepts. So we went to the major cities, or the 60 cities around the world that host the trends and the best clubs. You name it, London, New York, Chicago, Milan, Amsterdam, Dubai. So and also other cities, but we put everything in one pool, 150 concepts, and not only visiting them, sometimes trying the classes, sometimes trying 2-3 classes a day. And then we came back and we shortlisted the concepts to 100, and we studied them very well. We know the advantages and disadvantages of every concept, and we did top 5, bottom 5. I came back to my Rex team, and I told them this is what we did, and I explained to them 100 concepts around the world, and they were really impressed that we did this effort. But again, we didn't do it to copy someone. We did this to get inspired, and to see the mistakes and get away from it, and to see the good stuff and get inspired by it. I think this effort that we did to 150 concepts around the world gave us a lot of information.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's a commitment, and I think you made an interesting point there. A lot of time, we see it a lot. People go and they see these ideas, and then they kind of do a poor version of them. In a lot of cases, it's like, yeah, okay, I can see where you got it from, but it's just been stripped down, and it's a poor relative. But I looking at what you guys have done, you cannot say that it's not new, unique, fresh, innovative, and it looks great. But definitely a lot of the ideas, from what I've seen, are a first of its kind, and that's not easy to do in this space, because you've almost got to forget what you've seen to try and come up with something new. So I wanted to ask you, after seeing all those 150 clubs, if you had to really kind of boil things down, and I know this is a very difficult question to ask, but to ask you, but what were probably one or two takeaways in terms of what everybody does that you thought you questioned, well, why are they all doing it, or something that they're not doing that you thought they should be doing? Was there any sort of like big takeaways that you thought, wow, that's so obvious, but nobody's realized it?
Yeah, of course, we had some big takeaways, and that's why we have top 5 and bottom 5. And when you asked the question, I immediately thought about why I like the top 5, why I dislike the bottom 5. So the top 5, they really invest in the interior. They really invest in the vibe in the club. And sometimes we would walk into a concept and we don't want to leave the reception and the lobby area, because it gives you so much vibe that you want to stay there and you want to hang out there. And some of the bottom 5 concepts, or even in the middle, you just want for a tour, and you get disappointed because what you see in the picture, because we prepare the list, we don't go like randomly. We know where we're going, but in the picture, this place looks amazing, but when you go inside, it's dead. There's no soul. And I think part of it comes from the founders themselves, how they can convey their passion and their love and what they want to show in their premises and their facilities. So the vibes is very important thing for me, and we made sure that whether at the boutique fitness environment or at the fitness club big box environment, we made sure that we have the vibe there. We wanted people to get in and feel that this is something that they want to keep coming back to. As I said, branding is very important, and I see amongst fitness leaders around the world that they care more about the fitness product itself, but they don't care about the branding. The brand comes second maybe, but for me branding is very important, and one of the things that can really take up your image and increase the value of your business or your fitness business is branding. I will not mention, but I can mention to you a couple of names around the world. They don't have anything extra than the other competitors, but what really gives them more valuation and market equity is their brand. So branding is important, and back in the days we give it importance. Today we're giving it even more importance, and on our visits we respected the branding that some of those guys did, and especially when the branding is linked to the interior design. You don't want to disconnect those two together because it's all under one umbrella. So those are the two major big takeaways. But the things I want to stay away from is, I think, the cleanliness, because when I walk into a facility which is unclean, this is something I don't want to come back again to. And we saw a lot of places that made us feel uncomfortable, and we wanted to leave right away. And also selection of equipment, it's very important. I know some of the founders, they have limited budget, but limited budget doesn't mean selecting less quality equipment for your members. I think if you want to change people's lives, you have to invest in the equipment, what you do deliver to your end members. And this is something that we carried out for many years, but when we went and we visited 150 clubs, some of the clubs were really under investing in the equipment, and some of them were really investing in the right way, which made us believe in what we did. Like, we invest a lot in equipment, but we believe that we're investing in the right way.
Comes back to your earlier values and vision point that you made. I guess for some people there's a different, you're obviously doing this out of love and a huge amount of passion for what you're trying to achieve. And so that comes, that's your main goal. And I suppose when you're starting to talk about these things, I'm thinking about other facilities and the cleanliness and the investment in the equipment and the investment in brand and the investment. Like, all of those are things you can get away without doing quite easily. There's many groups with hundreds of facilities that get away with that all the time. But I think it's like, well, how important is that to you? And my guess in the long term is that, people notice, and there's longevity in those brands, and they more than likely perform better than the other ones over time, I would guess, although I don't know. But yeah, it's very simple things you say, but so many organizations unfortunately don't meet those standards.
I totally understand where you're coming from, but we believe in our standards, and nothing can make us change them.
Yeah. So look, we're going to wrap up. I've got a couple of personal questions I want to ask before we finish, Fahad. So looking back on your, and it's still a relatively short career, you've got a lot still to do. But what if you look back, what would be some of the key highlights that you've had so far?
Key highlights in which area exactly? In your career with the last two organizations, if you had to sort of like draw a line as of today, what would stand out as your own, and this is personal, what are you, some of your own, one or two of your own personal career highlights? I always think about the first day when I joined my brother in the first club and I was a receptionist. I always think about that day because learning the business, I think it starts from the ground, from the small details, from cleaning and organizing and understanding the check-in procedure for members or registering a member. So I believe that the progress that I've made from a receptionist to a deputy club manager to a club manager into operation, into the C-suite level, into a CEO of a public company, and then starting a new company. If you look at this progress, it's just amazing how can we improve if we have both the passion and the right mentoring that can supervise you in the right way. This is the major highlight for me. It's the journey that I spent. If you ask me, I'm not the same person 4 years ago. I'm not the same person 10 years ago. But I always hold the family values, and I always hold what we believe in. And those things will never change and will continue to influence what I do in the future.
You've been very successful compared to many people. What drives you now? What are some of your personal goals from life that is, and obviously business and family business is a key part of it, but what's after achieving that success at your age, what haven't you achieved personally that you want to go on and do?
Actually, I always say there is no limit for ambition, right? But I really love fitness, and I wanted always to be part of the innovation around the world. We always follow the Western part of the world. We follow the States, we follow Europe, because we understand those are the leaders and those are the trendsetters. But today, I believe that in Saudi, with the family, with the young people around the table, we can also be an innovation hub, and it's our mission. We want to create concepts that not compete. I don't want to compete with the international market. This never came across our mind. It's just to highlight Saudi that we can innovate and we can create some great stuff here in Saudi from our passion, from our love for the fitness, and from the other side as well to help the family. I mean, I worked in the family business like you. You worked 25 years in the family business. You understand the same I do, how important it is to be part of the family and to pay back. And today I'm responsible, together with my nephew, cousin, and Nathan, we are responsible of 9 other shareholders, the brothers and sisters. And we want really to make sure that we maximize the value and the returns. And we're excited about the IPO project for them. And I feel if they get the best returns, I feel happy. Actually, my happiness comes from the happiness of the people around me. And I want to make sure that second generation and the third generation of the family, they continue to feel the same way.
And my final question, Fahad, and you've kind of touched on it with the previous question, but Escape Your Limits is about escaping what you believed is impossible and gone on to make possible. Outside of what we've just spoken about, what would be a memorable example of escaping your own personal limits?
I respect Escape as a brand, as I respect the others, but Escape really made a transformation in its sector, in the functional space, and I carry a lot of respect to all the innovation that Escape brought. And for me, I love innovation. There is a lot of trends comes up, but when it's not innovative, it doesn't intrigue me. But Escape always, year after year, they've been very innovative in what they do, very distinguished and distinctive in what they do, and I think it shows in the product. I think Escape, they escape the limit and they play in their own league. And this is what Escape is doing. They play alone, and you're doing like what we did in the past. Although we don't look about competition, we just look about our innovation and what we do. I think you guys are very focused. Escape are very focused on what can we do next to be innovative and add on to the fitness industry. So you helped us. You're helping hundreds of gyms around the world, millions of customers, and I think this is something that you should be proud of.
Thank you very much. Well, I really hope one day I'm going to come out with my family and check out the gyms in Saudi. I'd love to sort of work out in one with you one day. That'll be
come to Saudi, visit the clubs, visit the family farm, visit the desert camp. we have a lot of unusual experiences in Saudi.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Well, look, thank you very much for your time. It's been a wonderful conversation, and best of luck with the IPO.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then please go over to iTunes and subscribe to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Leave a review, leave a comment. It really would help us a lot to continue to keep these going.